In the early 70s, the American scientist John Calhoun conducted an experiment which he called Universe 25. This was the 25th attempt to create a world where living beings have no problems. 24 times before, the result had been the same, the ruin of society. But it was the 25th universe that became the most famous because too many things in it turned out to be similar to us. Calhoun built a real paradise for mice. Food and water in abundance, comfortable temperature, no predators, no disease, no threat from the outside. Live and rejoice, multiply, build communities, prosper. And at first, this is exactly how it went. The colony grew, life was in full swing. But gradually the picture began to change, and alarming failures began to appear inside the ideal world. When the number of individuals increased, conflicts began. Males who lacked space in the hierarchy became either aggressive or weak-willed. Females lost interest in caring for offspring. The cubs were increasingly abandoned. And then a new phenomenon arose, the so-called beautiful mice. They stopped fighting, have ceased to reproduce, only ate, left, and took care of themselves. On the outside, these mice looked well-groomed and well-off, but on the inside, they were empty. From that moment on, everything went downhill. The birth rate was falling. Aggression and indifference grew. The colony, where everything was in abundance, rapidly degraded. And the finale was inevitable: extinction. The experiment turned not into a story about animals, but into a metaphor, into a mirror that shows us ourselves. Think about the richer human society becomes, the more often we see similar symptoms. People who have everything, fewer and fewer people want to create families. Young men lose interest in the struggle for a place in life. Women are less and less willing to take on the role of mothers. More and more people are withdrawing into themselves, going into comfort and entertainment. More and more often we live for ourselves, but less and less often for someone. Calhoun said, "It's not about overpopulation or food. Society is destroyed when roles and meanings disappear. When a person no longer has the need to protect, to care, build. When culture and tradition cease to connect us with each other." That is why Universe 25 is not about mice. This is about us. Material comfort does not help. A person needs not only food and a roof over his head, but also a sense of belonging. Common goals, values, and responsibilities. How are we different from beautiful mice? By the fact that we have the opportunity to realize and change our path, we can build not only a comfortable world, but also a world with meaning, where there is responsibility for the future. The Universe 25 experiment reminds, civilization does not die of hunger or war. It dies when what connects people to each other disappears. This is not a sentence, but a warning. It's a signal we can still hear. The only question is whether we can preserve the connections, the meaning and the culture, so as not to repeat the fate of that very colony. Soviet and Russian actor, film director, screenwriter.